Good afternoon, welcome to Bubble Lunch. Albert is busy destroying as many bubbles as possible.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
Good morning, we're up in the village today, pre-Wimbledon, but you can see rackets are out in force everywhere and tennis balls in everyone's displays. Good morning, happy Monday. It is the first day of the working week. I'm off to Wedvid, wearing my German football shirt, which may or may not cause some problems. Didn't get heckled yesterday, but you know, I've got to get on a commuter train today, so that'll be interesting. For those of you asking, how can you wear a German football shirt, blah 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 blah, yada yada, England, etc. Well, I'm dual nationality now, so I can support both teams. Now, in the event that the teams should play each other, I would obviously support England, seeing as I have supported England since I was about 10 years old. It was the first World Cup I remember. So in that event, I will not be wearing a German football shirt, but as long as they're not playing each other, I feel perfectly comfortable doing so. And actually, if I'm honest, they're unlikely to play each other because Germany's not going to get past the next round. So it's just because I can, and I felt like I wanted to. Anyway, it's a beautiful day today. It's supposed to reach 30 degrees, which is far too warm to be wearing a fitted football shirt, but anyway, and I'm hoping it doesn't get too hot on the train on the way home, because that could be very uncomfortable. It's usually the return journey that's worse. So I might have to get off a bit early and walk a bit more. Crystal is out this evening with her dad and Callie seeing UB40, so I'll be on my lonesome. I have a lot of videos to finish this week and I have to do most of them today, so that's a bit of a concern, but hopefully things will be looking up in 12 hours time. Good evening, it is about 6:30 and I'm walking home. I have finished 2 of the 3 videos I have outstanding. Well, I suppose technically I have 4 outstanding, but 3 for this, 3 for Webvid. So I finished 2 of them, so I'm quite pleased. That's about as good as I could have hoped for, I think. It is really warm today. It's lovely if you're outside. It is horrible if you're on a train. So, I mean, I knew that before, but it really is horrible. So anyway, I'm heading home. As I mentioned, Crystal is out at UB40 tonight. I have a lot of vlogs to catch up on. I'm very behind, so I'm going to try and do a couple tonight. Good morning. It is Tuesday, and as you might be able to ascertain, I'm walking along the Thames towards Hammersmith to go to USP. I'm recording the last agenda today. Agenda is a programme with Martin Lewis, and I've been sporadically recording for the last it's a while, isn't it? 3 years maybe, but this it comes to an end in a month or so, and this is the last recording of one that we're doing today. It is nearly as hot as it was yesterday, but luckily this walk is mostly in the shade and the real heat won't arrive until about 11 o'clock, so it's currently about 19 degrees. It's quite pleasant, and I figured I needed to do some walking today, and this was the easiest way of doing it. Sometimes it's a bit tricky in summer, this walk, because at least on some bits it's very exposed to the sun, but hopefully we'll take the shady route today. It'll be very nice. So I still have a couple of videos to finish and I still have some vlogs to do, but I did make some good progress last night. It's difficult with the vlogs. Sometimes you're like, I'm motivated to record. That's never been a problem. It's a nice way of clearing your mind. But to do the edits, I'm less motivated, and so very often, like I am right now, I'm about 3 weeks behind. And it sort of comes in fits and bursts. And I can only apologise, but then, you know, it is what it is. It'll go up eventually. So it's weird. I think, do I want to stop? And then I think, no, probably not. I do genuinely value them as a record of my life, if nothing else, and so the annoyance of having to edit them now and again is massively outweighed by the value of having them. And you know, I managed to do it when I had a 5-day-a-week regular job, so I should be able to manage them now. But I think maybe the routine of having a regular job helps with the routine of editing, because at the moment I'm editing so many videos that the vlogs sometimes get lost in the mix, and certainly they're low down the priority list in terms of when they need to be done. But they will get done and they will continue, so fear thee not. Not that I think you were probably very fearful anyway. Anyhow, here we are, back in the shade on the south side of the Thames, which is very nice. It occurred to me that I have forgotten to talk about a reasonably momentous event, which was June the 13th. June the 13th was exactly 5 years since I went freelance. Which is a long time when you say it out loud, but doesn't seem like any time at all in some sense, which is quite remarkable. I was thinking about it the other day, and like, you know, pros and cons. Still very much a pro in terms of not working a full-time job anywhere and managing your own time and expectations, so absolutely no regrets. But it would be unfair to suggest that everything is that when you make a balanced decision like that, that it's all 100% on the pro side and there aren't any cons. There definitely are. I mean, the advantage of having like a regular job is, you know, friendship groups that develop at work, and the and your time not working at work, as it were, like the social time that you have. But I still get that a bit. So for me, at least, the seesaw is very unbalanced in favour of being freelance. But yeah, 5 years is a while, and my life feels quite a bit different to how it did when I decided to leave. And I caught up with Rick the other day, and of course we left about the same time. And it was interesting that was almost exactly 5 years at that time. And it was a strange coincidence that it was almost exactly 5 years from my leaving, or when we actually had a sit down and, you know, a bit of a reminisce in some senses and sort of catch up on where our lives are now. But I'm very much happy that I did make that decision. My only regret, I guess, is that I didn't make it maybe a year earlier. But, you know, you have to be in the right headspace to do it as much as anything else. And I think it took me a while to sort of be sure that it was going to work out. Despite all this shade, it is still very warm. The sky is perfectly blue. It's a lovely summer's day. It'd be better if I wasn't carrying a rucksack. Definitely substantially better, actually. But hey, videos to edit, you know, people to see. That's my life now. Good morning from Marks and Spencer's car park. So it's Wednesday, and I am at home today. I've got board papers to read, videos to finish, usual shenanigans. I might, because the weather's so nice, change my setting from living room to Kew Gardens as soon as I have had breakfast and exported the video I was doing this morning. Good afternoon. So I've had a haircut, done a lot of work this morning. It's very warm. I was going to go into Kew. I think I might still read some papers, but I think I'll just discuss football briefly. But I think I'm just going to discuss football briefly because I've been German now for 1 month. Now, in the entire history of the World Cup, up until last month, Germany have never failed to get out of the group. They've more often than not got to the quarterfinals, and they've won the World Cup 4 times. Since becoming German in the last month, Germany have become terrible at football. They've just been knocked out of the World Cup. What a time to be alive. I will obviously continue to support my primary team, my birth team, England, for the remainder of this World Cup. At least they don't have to play each other now, and I don't have that awkward moment. But for those England fans who seem to take great pleasure in Germany's demise, can I just say to you, as a German citizen, good luck with your country. In all seriousness though, this is the most piss-poor German team I have seen in my lifetime. and I haven't always, been supporting them. In fact, usually I've been, against them, but they've always been formidable and intimidating. And this one is a joke. It is like expecting Burnley to kind of get through the group stages. It's embarrassing, to be honest. But anyway, doesn't matter. I drew England in the company pool anyway, so I also drew Belgium. That could actually be the final at this rate. And who else? Panama, or someone who's out. Anyway, someone insignificant. So there we go. So yeah, England, Belgium, go for it. There is one serious point to be made on the World Cup. There aren't really any others, but there is one. FIFA is obviously one of the single most corrupt organisations on this earth. You'd be hard-pressed to find an official organisation of any kind that is as horribly corrupt and just frankly nasty as FIFA. So it shouldn't surprise me that they chose to host the World Cup in an authoritarian country that meddles with other people's elections, illegally invades and occupies the lands of sovereign countries. But still, I do think that the whole idea of having the World Cup in Russia is horribly flawed. It gives credence to a regime that cares nothing for the rest of the world. In fact, what it really wants is the most unstable rest of the world possible, so it can maximise its own position of power. And it does that in the most horrible way possible, by funding Trump, by funding the Vote Leave campaign, and sowing seeds of nationalism in every country it can touch. So I do think that it is a horrible mistake to have the World Cup there. Similarly, I think the decision to have the Winter Olympics there a couple of years ago was equally terrible. The world looks to sporting events and looks for inspiration from the places that they're hosted, and it is not appropriate to be hosting such events in countries that are so knowingly evil, corrupt, and doing so much. I mean, they literally murder journalists and then try and assassinate people on British soil. I cannot believe that any organisation thinks it's appropriate to hold a major sporting event there. This is my view this morning as I read board papers for this afternoon. It's quite special, isn't it? So this is the Guild Garden in Kew Gardens. I'm sitting in the shade, listening to the cricket, reading my board papers and enjoying the day. View number 2. I like to move around a bit when I'm reading board papers. It sort of helps you a little bit of walking time in between. Walking is very good for thinking. So that's my second spot. This is the outside Cambridge Cottage. These are the gardens there. Very peaceful today. It's a ridiculously nice day today. The gardens seem so different on a day like today. First of all, it's very busy, which I'm not sure how comfortable I am about that, but obviously it means money to the gardens, so that's good. But also, it's like being on holiday when you're outdoors and there's barely a cloud in the sky and everyone's in shorts, t-shirts, sunglasses. It does feel much more like a holiday trip than just strolling out into your front garden. It's very nice. I'm going to have to go home though in a minute, just to have some lunch. It's a bit disappointing, but then I have to go into Richmond on my way to RHP later, or to Co-op Homes rather, get an eye test. So there's plenty more walking to come. So having finished reading my board papers, I'm wandering around, heading back for lunch. I think if I came here every day for the rest of my life, I would never be bored. It obviously changes with the seasons, but every day is slightly different as some plants come and go. Things are moved around and the different weathers and microclimates you get nearer to the Thames and further away. It's just amazing. Well, I've said that many times, but there we go, it is. Anyhow, right, I need to head on back and have something to eat because I'm quite hungry and quite thirsty. I'm carrying on my walk, having had my eye test, walking round on the towpath to Ham and then cutting across Ham and into Teddington. Eye test basically told me that my prescription has barely changed since 5 years ago, but it's good to know these things. May still get a new pair of sunglasses because the amount of wear and tear my old ones have taken. But other than that, I don't need anything. My test was free, so it's worth doing for peace of mind. Anyway, this is a new way of getting to Teddington for me, so let's see how it goes. There's Beecham Common, which is common land, so you can graze your cows here. These have all got nice white saddles. Don't know what breed they are. They are quite attractive looking as cows go. And I don't know whether they're there because they are a milk herd or a beef herd or what have you. But they're probably very glad, as am I, that the clouds have come. The sun's gone for a moment. Here comes the local paddle steamer coming up the river from Hampton Court. Party boat alert. It's not a gentle cruise, this. It's more of a summer barbecue, drinks fest and band. Fair play. Good morning. It's Friday. I'm walking to Hammersmith to get on the train. It's a familiar tale. When the weather's this nice, it happens a lot. It's really nice again. Summer is really kicking into gear. The only downside is it's killing all the grass. But what can you do, eh? I suppose it might rain at some point, that'd be helpful. Anyway, so it's the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. That's what I'm doing. Bit of setup for today, and that's about all I've got on really. Still got a bit of video work to finish in between. I honestly don't know when there'll be a day where I'm like, oh, do you know what? I don't have a pending video. Maybe there never will be. There we are. I'm also aware that because it's Friday, it's time to do a word of the week. So I'm going to have a think and I'm going to get back to you. So then, the word of the week. I think the most appropriate words to do this week, because we're in the middle of the World Cup, is football. Why not? Then you can yell it appropriately at matches and whatnot. So football, first of all, in German, which you might know this one, is der Fußball. Der Fußball. That is football in German. And in Italian, football, you probably don't know this one, this is quite a strange one. It's one of the few countries that don't have a word that sounds particularly like football. In Italian, it's il calcio. Il calcio. That is football in Italian. And that was this week's word of the week. It strikes me with a certain level of irony that the two languages I gave you football in is Italian. Italians didn't even qualify for this World Cup. And German, well, as you know, the Germans were knocked out in the first group stage despite being the defending champions. So there's maybe it's two languages we won't need the word football, at least not for the next couple of weeks. So the plants have grown up rather a lot around here. Not surprising, sort of peak growing season before everything sort of dies back a bit. But it is a bit of a jungle along this side. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going on holiday. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but we are. We're going to Switzerland, which is Switzerland and Italy, right on the border. So we start in Milan, then we cross over into the lakes, the Swiss lakes I should say. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But we've done very little packing and even less planning, so need to do a bit of that this weekend. There really are very few better ways of starting the day than with a view like this. The breeze is actually very pleasing. Makes it feel slightly more seaside, but it is a beautiful morning. Hello there from the future. Thank you very much for watching this week. I didn't do a sign off because we went straight out for dinner, which we hadn't planned, and that was quite nice. We went for Chinese down the road, and then we kind of collapsed because it was so warm. But I do thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll join me next week, where I'll be obviously in Kew Gardens, as I always am, but I'll also be in Haywards Heath filming at some point, and a bit of time in Webvid and various other locales. So hope you'll subscribe, click like, do all those appropriate things. I'll see you next time.
Toby, stupid